real deals in real estate. Welcome to the Real Deal Podcast with Todd Hearn.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is Todd Hearn with the Real Deal Podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Today we have Josh Zettler on with us. He's a big-time entrepreneur, a good friend of mine. We met years ago, and he has a lot of stuff. He's a guy that I look up to, and definitely want to be like. And I think we can learn a lot of things from him. And I'm excited to have him on today. Josh, it's good to have you.
Yeah, Todd. Things are great over here in space, so I thought I'd visit you
Yeah.
and try to help out as much as I could. So.
Yeah, I forgot to tell everybody that you were joining us from the Apollo 13 today. But no, he's Josh is an awesome entrepreneur. He's part of Life Leadership, which is where we met. He's got insurance. He's got about 60 other EINs and different businesses that he does. Real estate. He's in. If you can name it, he is probably in it. So, what do you have going on right now, Josh? That's big.
Actually, we just launched Life Leadership, the Starfish platform, and we're super excited about that. And we want people to know that there's an opportunity that's available. Even though with all the entrepreneurial ideas and all of the businesses that we are engaged in, there's one right now that someone can start for minimal cost and get a huge return on investment just by understanding what the People's Platform is. If you can take credit card fees and transactions and pay them back out to consumers from vendor sources, that's a $285 billion industry, and we're excited about sharing that with folks and just making it super simple. And I'm excited. I appreciate Todd for asking me on the podcast today, and I'm excited to just continue to share with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited about that too, Josh. I know we've been working on it for a little bit, and we've had multiple calls and stuff about it, and I'm excited about that. But I want to take people back to so where we first met. I met Josh at a Life Leadership conference in Columbus, Ohio. There was probably I don't even know how many people there. At least what 30,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
it was. And it was really neat. And he was, once you meet Josh, you won't forget Josh. I mean, he's just got that kind of personality that's infectious. That'll get you going. And so I remember meeting him at that first leadership conference, and then multiple times whenever he came down to Tennessee. And just I was just going to say, and Tom Hoppy, my buddy Tom Hoppy that I've had on here before. He's also involved with us, and he's who I met Josh through. And so, Josh, could you just take us back? So how did you get to where you are today? I know you've got all of these businesses and everything, but how, if somebody was if there was a 20-year-old out there right now that was wanting to be you one day, what could you tell him? Where does he start?
That's a great question, Todd. So if I were to start myself over again, I would kind of try to figure out what it is that I was passionate about. And that's kind of what's happened. So I don't know if you know this, but Chris Brady always says that you don't arrive at your purpose, you uncover it over time. And so that's pretty much what we've done in our family. I give all the credit and glory to God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. And so most everything that we have is his. I feel like I'm on loan in this earth, and so I act like a steward more than an owner. And so when you gain that perspective of becoming someone of influence, and if you have the right perspective, money and time and all the things that you ever wanted, your dreams can come true just by really understanding whose you are and whose it actually is, because we ain't taking it with us. And so I think it's important, for someone like a 20-year-old, like you said, when they get started, you need to have the right perspective. So the right perspective is that it's not yours to begin with, and that you're just a steward. And as you pursue your goals and dreams, and you're serving others, all the success you could ever probably imagine would rain down on you. And so specifically, get engaged with leadership development, because that's the only thing anybody can't take away from you. And that is the one thing that I pursued passionately, and I'm still very passionate about leadership development and, educational development, learning, growing, constantly being on the cutting edge of the things that we're involved in, so that people understand when I'm talking with them that I'm in it. I'm not sitting on the sideline somewhere, chucking bonbons or anything like that. I am engaged in what we do. We have large teams of people that help us in all of these different entities and entrepreneurial events and exercises we do, from real estate to construction to rental cars to, just financial management, helping people with business consulting, run our own podcast. I'm an author. All these things came not because of Josh, but because of a lot of people along the way. We've had a lot of help and a lot of great mentors along the way. And all of those things combined into accumulation of today. And so it's been a great journey, and I feel like we're still just getting started.
So what would be your number one, excuse me, your number one point for someone that's just getting started? To just be passionate. I think I swallowed a frog here. But to just be passionate and to get whatever you get into, go 1,000%, or what would be the end all be all if there was one thing that you have to do to be successful, what is it?
Whatever it takes. If you're, I don't think you can point to one thing, because if you do, that sets people up for failure, for change. In general, when you are an entrepreneur or you are someone that is trying to make something happen, I think probably the worst thing you can do is narrow your mindset into thinking that it's one thing. There's a system usually involved. And so I want people to realize that, if you're actually pursuing greatness, you're going to do what it takes. Not the minimum or not the one thing, like there may be not one focus, but in every business, you need a system. And that is the one thing I would say, is developing the system and understanding people and building that system around great people, including yourself, and learning the things it takes to be successful in the industry. If you could, go back, like anybody could probably do this, no matter what you're pursuing. If you could go back and learn from somebody who's the best at what they do, and you studied them and they could teach you exactly what it took to get successful, that would probably make the most sense before you go try to bump and scrape your knees along the way and screw up along the way. So I would say that's probably some of the most important things, is making sure you have a system and you have somebody that's successful, that's in the industry that you're in, and just learning from them as quickly as you can so that you're not having to make the same mistakes they did.
And see, that's why I love talking to you, Josh, because no matter every time I've ever talked to you, I need to be taking notes, because I always learn something every time. Like you just said, there's not one thing. That makes perfect sense now, and that's why I appreciate you and your intelligence. He's one of the smartest guys I know. But as far as Tom Hoppy, so where did you and Tom meet?
That's a great question. We were at a leadership convention as well. He was involved in leadership in the past, and we met just through happenstance, actually. There was an existing group of people that he was working with, and then we combined, and as soon as that happened, we hit it off right away. We have very similar personality, very driven, and love to win. And I think that is one of the things that both of us had kind of hit it off together is just wanting to win. Family comes first with us, both of us, and I feel like that's a big deal. He's very faithful, very committed to his church, and I am too. Like, we're passionate about spreading the word and understanding that that's where truth exists, and salvation is that it's an attachment relationship with God, and we really just want people to know that. We want people to know that, that we were creating God's image. It's scriptural, and that if we understand that, then our life goes way better when we understand those principles. And business falls into place when we have the right principles to start with. So.
Yeah, that's and the relationship. The relationships that I gained with you, with Mark Huber, with with Tom. Me and Tom really became big buddies after getting involved with life, and that's kind of where we kicked off, really. And but I always like to ask. I know this is kind of back out of the blue, but every guest I always have on. So you have a beautiful wife and family. So how did y'all meet? I always like asking.
That's a great question. That's a great question. It's either church or a bar, I think, right?
One works out better than the other one most of the time.
That's right. So ours was a church camp, actually. We it's funny. I was a youth and young adult minister for about 4 years in my early career. Very passionate about ministry. I've been a pastor, and so I'm very passionate. Like if you haven't got that feel yet, like that's the number one thing. Like if you ask me, like, Josh, well, what do you know about business? Well, I can tell you about business, but I can tell you what, my foundation in faith is the most important thing. And that's what led me to where I am today. And I claim all of that. And so where did the family come from? Like, literally, I was pursuing a dream of having a mom, for my kids that would be a stay-at-home mom, someone that was living life on purpose. And Tara, my wife, she was that person. We joke about it now, but we had known each other for years, but literally within 2 months we were engaged, and we haven't looked back since. And so I'm just excited because I think what happens is when you pursue excellence with a partner or a spouse, that just makes things better. And so those of us that are out there that were without spouses before, you're constantly looking, but we're always striving to look for that deep love that exists. So Tara and I interviewed her. She'll tell you, like, when we had our first date, it was hilarious. We were sitting at a campfire, and so I interviewed her for about 3 hours. Like, I had that many questions. We're not going to do that today, but literally it was a 3-hour conversation. I walked out of there. And I walked in, I think I was talking to my mom and dad, and I said, well, I'm going to marry Tara. And this had happened, and they were like, what? And I was like, well, it's just, God's got a plan. And so that's what we're going to do. And so, at a younger age, my parents were like, you're nuts. I'm like, no, I'm not nuts. I just know. And so here we are, 4 children later. I've got a son that turned 14. He's almost as tall as me, which is crazy. And then three younger daughters. I'm a glutton for punishment for that. So, you can attend all those weddings, Todd.
I understand that. I got 2 of my own.
You got 2 of your own. So we'll pull our resources and try to pull that off.
Yeah, I told them the courthouse is cheaper, but their mama didn't like that idea.
That's awesome.
But that sounds awesome. That's, like you said, when you know, and that's a really neat story. So
I don't give her enough credit. Actually, she is, she's passionate into education. So she believes that a child is gifted from God, and they're not a product. So in education, a lot of times when you look at public education treats children like products rather than people. And so she's very passionate and very involved in the private and public educational movement to treat children as people, meaning that God has already planted in them what it is that they need, we don't have to fill it. We don't have to fill that box up ourselves. God's going to do that. And so we're very passionate about that. And so that's her. That's what she does. Like she's a curriculum and director of some schools down in Florida, and pretty excited about that as well.
So speaking of Florida, so you were in Illinois, correct? And now,
yes.
And now, so where have you traveled as far as not travel for vacation, but travel as far as where your life has taken you, as far as destinations and who you're around and things like that?
Yeah, we felt called to have a couple of locations. Our insurance agencies and real estate has allowed that to be possible. So we've actually expanded to Florida, and we're pursuing that opportunity as well. I'm still back and forth from Illinois and Florida, and we're managing those businesses in both locations. We actually popped up another location in Tennessee. You'll be glad to know. It's over in Union City, actually. It's on the west side. But yeah, we're constantly adding locations and growing and pursuing excellence, nationwide. So, a lot of our businesses do have that type of a reach, which is pretty awesome as well. So, why Florida? It just happened. We were pursuing some other things, maybe some vacation type stuff. I had some Airbnbs and real estate, and that kind of just happened. And, here we are, and it's been great.
Well, that was going to be my next question. As far as real estate, that's what I'm in, and that's what I'm really passionate about and enjoy doing, and helping people to find their dream home, or just get to the next stage of life, or downsize, or whatever their goal is. And I think that's important for people. This is a tangent, sorry, Josh, but that's important for people to know. When even in real estate, I know it's important in life as well, to know why you're doing something. In real estate, it's important to know why, why am I wanting to do this? Why am I wanting a bigger house, or why am I wanting a smaller house, or to know why. And sometimes as real estate agents, we forget to ask that question. We just got, you tell us what you're looking for, and then we just run with it instead of saying, "Oh, wait a minute. So let me know what, so I can help you better identify what you really are looking for." But that why, that's a big key, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that segue because, in sales, no matter what you're doing, you're in sales. And so whether you're influencing someone or you're trying to serve someone, what a better way to look at someone in the eyes and really find out what makes them tick in a way to where you can provide a solution to them of what they want. Not what a salesperson wants or not what an influencer wants, but it truly exists inside of them, what they want. Now, there's sometimes, which is interesting, sometimes people think they know what they want, but you have to dig a little bit deeper because they really don't want what they want. They're looking for something a little bit different. And, a good influencer, they will pick up on those things and help redirect or restructure some of that thinking in a way that helps them even better than they even thought they could even talk about themselves. And so that's what's kind of fun is when you start to really dig and you really start to uncover and you get to know people, what happens is you get comfortable with them, and then they start to reveal some things. They're like, you know what, maybe I didn't really want that. I wanted this, and you helped me find that. And it's super powerful, and it's life-changing. And I love that experience with people. No matter what industry we're in, you're probably like wondering, like, well, Josh, what are you talking about? I'm talking about everything. It doesn't matter from like your marriage, your kids' lives, the education that you're doing, your schoolwork, your job, whatever it is. Like, influence is all about serving. And when we do it well, we create relationships for life. And people are looking for that right now. I don't know if you feel probably the same thing I do. Like right now, after COVID and after the pandemic, people more than ever are looking for that influence in their life that cares about them enough to tell them not only the truth, but what it is that they're really dreaming about, and try to work together with them to help it make it happen. And I see you doing that. It sounds like you're doing that with real estate, and and I know we're doing it with life leadership as well. And what is it you want? Start dreaming again. Everybody for the last couple of years have been, kind of on the shutdown mode rather than in dream mode. Like, what is it that they want? What do we want to pursue? What's our godly passion? Where are we headed?
Yeah, I think everybody got into survival mode as opposed to going after something. You were just trying to make it through with this, everything being closed, and you couldn't get this and you can't get that, and you're more worried about making sure you get some toilet paper from Dollar General than I mean, so there for a little while that was your passion. You was just trying to get stuff that you needed, and hoping we're getting out of that, and now we can get back to dreaming and back to really going after stuff. And that's why I'm excited about getting life going back again. And with Starfish, man, I think it's going to be great. As far as having that as an app and being able to use that for people to save money and get some money back. I mean, that's a big deal right now with the way prices are going, and everything is getting more and more expensive, to plus taxes and everything else. And I think that's going to be a really big deal. Can you tell people kind of what? I know you can explain it a lot better than I can. I'm a novice at this, and you're a pro, so I'm gonna turn it over to the pro to kind of explain Starfish and how that's gonna help people.
Oh man, Todd, God is good, and so I'm just super excited about the opportunity, and that's what this is. And so, we can save 1 to 15%, which is over what you can make on your credit card, just by buying from vendors that are willing to share that expense back with the field. So you can imagine it. You go into the store or wherever you normally buy stuff, and there's hundreds of them. You go in there, you swipe your credit card. Well, that vendor has to pay credit card fees and transaction fees back to the bank for you to be able to use your credit card or your debit card. Well, what Starfish is doing is Starfish is saying, look, let's stop feeding the billionaires platform of $285 billion or $1 million of money back to those banks, and let's send it back to you. Let's send it back to you, the customer, if you're willing to participate. And then the question is, if you can do that, well, how much market share can you bring to that platform? Because how much market share that you and a team of people can bring to that platform determines what you get paid. Look, there's a ton of savings programs out there. There's a tons of way you can get rebates, and everybody's trying to give you perks to attract you and to market to you to go and buy from them. But there's nobody out there paying you.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not the way it works. Like, in general, you might get some perks here and there. You might get maybe some gift cards or some rebates or something like that, trying to attract you to be loyal to their company. But there's nobody out there paying you to bring the market share unless you work for the company. So what we're offering, what the Starfish and Life Leadership is offering, is an opportunity for you to make residual income, residual profits, by driving traffic to the Starfish platform and educating you through a system along the way on how to do it so that you can get your goals and dreams. There's nothing out there like that. And that's why I'm so excited. As an entrepreneur of over 60 companies in multiple industries, why would I do this? What would be the reason I would need to do this? Like, well, for financially, it doesn't make sense for me. And then for time, it probably doesn't make sense for me. But what I know is that when I was a 20-year-old kid, is that the education that I got from Life Leadership on business systems and learning how to do business, not only do I owe it to the platform, but I owe it to that next 20-year-old person, or maybe the 30-year-old that's sitting there struggling in their job, or maybe the business owner that's just kind of trying to make ends meet and they just don't know what to do next, or whoever it is that's sitting out there that like they were made for something more and they just didn't have a vehicle. This is it. This is that vehicle. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because there's nothing else out there that I can say to somebody, look, we can go from being ordinary with just some different information and a new system to go to extraordinary. And that's what I'm passionate about, is taking someone that didn't think they had it all figured out, that doesn't have a vehicle, doesn't have a platform, doesn't have a way to get there, and showing them this. and giving them the opportunity that they've always wanted. And Todd, that's why I'm excited.
See, this is why I love talking to Josh, because like he'll get you so pumped up, like I'm ready to run through a wall right now. So, I'm just ready to go, and I'm excited about this new opportunity that we have. Where can people find this, Josh? Where can they contact? Like if they're just watching this and they don't know, number one, you can respond to our podcast. And I'll answer you, and I can show you. But just where could they go if they just had to go look somewhere?
That's a great question. We have open meetings on Tuesday nights, and there's some videos that we can send out to you. So if you could just respond with an email or a text message, we will get that out to you, and like you can see everything and get all the details about what we're doing, how it works, how the money works, how you can get involved, how you can save money, how you can create this an opportunity. Like all of that stuff's available to you. So we'll make that available to you as soon as you reach out to us, because they are very specialized links. It's not something that we're just, excited for everybody to get involved in. We want certain people, but customers are easy. So if you're sitting there like, hey, I'd like the savings and I know some people, that's an easy thing. We just send you a link for that, and that can happen real quick.
That's awesome. So if you have questions and you really like what Josh is talking about today, just respond in the podcast, and we can respond back to you and get you the information that you're looking for. And you can. Josh isn't hard to find either, and I'm not hard to find either. My name's Todd Hearn. His name's Josh Zettler. Anybody that that knows us knows how to get a hold of us, and we got our emails, and I'll have those attached and stuff, so you can see that to what you can respond to us. Well, Josh, it was fun having you on today, and I appreciate it. And just so I hope everything's okay with Tara. Just tell everybody that he's actually taking time out right now to while his wife's having surgery to do this podcast with us. So I really appreciate that, Josh. I know you're worried about her, of course, and I appreciate you taking your time.
That's right, Todd. I appreciate you too. God is good, and we know who's in charge. And so here we are, getting ready to launch out. I'm super proud of you, man. What you're doing with this podcast, and I know you're a leader and an influencer, and I just want to throw you some light as well. Those of you that are on this podcast and you're listening, make sure you reach out to somebody else and tell them about this podcast, because it's a big deal. And those that might want to participate in this podcast, make sure that you reach out, subscribe to it, reach out to others, send it to other people. Let's blow this thing up for Todd. And I'm excited. I think this is a great start to something that can be really big for not only Todd but the community. And so listen up, keep plugging in, and we're going to be rocking this thing. And I'm excited. And
just for a plug for you, Josh, what's your podcast? The name of your podcast. So if people wanted to hear more from you, and where could they find you on a podcast?
Actually, it's called Active Freedom, and I've got my shirt is on. It's got my logo here, the Active Freedom. Nice. We are building a platform around acts of freedom, and so we want people to come and tell us stories. And so I'm sure we'll have you on, Todd, like an example of what an act of freedom might be. So you can imagine all the different stories we're going to hear from people on that. But I'm excited about that.
Well, awesome. So everybody go check out Josh's podcast on Active Freedom. I'm sure it's awesome because he's awesome, and his personality is just infectious. And just thank you for being with us today, Josh. And we're going to get out of here. This is Todd Hearn with the Real Deal Podcast. Thanks for joining us.